Welcome, everybody. Thanks a million for joining us today. I'm delighted to be joined by Eoin. Eoin, thanks for tuning in and joining with us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
No bother at all. So, Owen is going to give us a wealth of experience from not only one, but two elements of his areas of expertise with Lifting Legends and Lifting and Laughing, two separate networks, both down here in Cork and then up towards the Greystone area. So, a wealth of experience for all different age ranges. Owen, do you want to give us a little bit of a background as to, your operation and age ranges and bits and pieces that you might do on a regular basis with students that you work with?
Sure. So I have two gyms or fitness centres at the moment, one in Greystones in County Wicklow and one in Blarney in County Cork. So the one I'm currently in is the Greystones one. I now live up here, but the site in Cork has been going for almost 11 years. And that service deals with personal training, essentially, small group personal training, but also it has a specialized PT service, which helps children, teens, and adults with differing needs, such as autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, ADHD, PDA, dyspraxia, dyslexia, in general neurodivergence. So when I moved up to Greystones in the summer, in the months even leading the months prior to that, I decided to open an exclusive venue and that would accommodate that service, because down in Cork that service was incredibly popular and very in demand. And it was I suppose a wilderness for our fitness industry. Of There weren't many other providers, and there weren't many other people doing something like this in a fitness setting. Obviously there's pediatric OTs and physios and Enable Ireland, and all the services, kind of private and governmental, but a gym taking this on, there weren't too many in this country or even in this continent. So I wanted to, one, figure this out and learn as much as I could, but also look at the market and say, right, I'm half an hour south of the capital, the alleged capital anyway, they think up here, where there were literally tens of thousands of children with a disability slash differing need in this catchment area. So I basically, opened the doors here about 12 weeks ago, and we have about 45 children, teens, and a sprinkling of adults coming through the door. We're waitlist now of about 3 or 4 weeks to be seen for an assessment with us, where we determine what grouping you'd go into. So we do 4-on-1 up here with the children, which has been a big change, because we do 1-on-1 down. We have done 1-on-1 down in Cork. We'll be moving to 4-on-1 very soon. And how we determine what 4-on-1 group you go into is we do a 1-to-1 assessment, and we have a look at your physical, your cognitive, and your adaptive. Adaptive being your motivation, your engagement, even your communication preferences. And we would place you then in a group of similar age. Generally, age dictates a lot, but also ability and personality. And that seems to be working very well. The group is raising up the ability for us to pull a fitness outcome at the end of it. It's not quite supervised soft play, it's not OT, it's not physio, it's something else. And we're figuring that out as we go. But so far it's been very, very good, and lots of great feedback, and being able to build the space to accommodate the children has been fantastic. It was down in Blarney. We might have sessions running at the same time. There might be a group of 6 neurotypical adults doing a session, then there might be a child doing something. So it can be a bit of a jumble, but up here it's been great to just push on with this idea and see how far it can take us.
Amazing. Sounds great, Owen. And just as an overview on how did this kick off for you? Obviously, you've had an interest in integrating movement and neurodiversity, but for our listeners, how did this take front and how did you kind of end up in the spaces you're in?
Yeah, a very simple one. A member in the gym said, "Can you help my son?" He was a teenager. He had Down syndrome, and as his mom said, he was mad as a bag of cats and had so much energy. And can you just help him get into the gym? He's mad for muscles and he's mad for lifting weights. And I couldn't think of a reason why I couldn't outside of reasons why I could. So he came down and we had what I can only describe as a wild session where there was throwing things, there was running, there was jumping, and there was a little bit of exercise, but I thoroughly enjoyed the session. I said that was great fun, and I wanted to do it again. He had a great time, and he wanted to do it again. So we did a couple more sessions. Then another mother of a member said, "Can you help my daughter?" And just she was maybe 7 or 8, possibly undiagnosed dyspraxia. She had issues learn to ride her bike, keeping up with her friends. And with her, she was the complete opposite of the boy. So it was a young girl, child, very quiet, quiet as a mouse compared to the other character. And we did a session, and we got some exercises done. And at the end, her mom said, "Did you like it?" And nearly the first thing she said was, "Yeah." And she said, "Will you come back?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, great." I said, that's nice. And yeah, I'd like to continue to see if we can help her. And I thought, two totally different sessions, but the same outcome of we helped the parent. We gave the child a good experience in the gym environment in a coached setting, and we pulled a fitness outcome out of it somewhere, but not that we need to attend that one session. We weren't making or breaking anything in that first session, but we were just building a bit of a foundation for fitness, the gym, movement, strength, whatever we wanted to call it, because they just wanted to have fun. And I thought, okay, there's something in that. And then that mother referred her neighbor, who referred it, and on and on and on. And before we knew it, we had 20 children coming to us, and we were figuring it out as we went and hiring staff. And getting referrals then from primary healthcare teams, CDNT teams, and yeah, it just built out of that.
Amazing. And we'd be a big advocate, Owen, of, integrating movement, not only for everybody, but obviously for people, with neurodiversity difficulties and challenges in the area that you're in. And how have you found over your experience now, Owen, with working with all different age ranges by the sounds of it, how vital have you found integrating movement and finding a movement structure actually that suits the person? So, kind of creating that alignment with what particular movements or what particular exercises may work for individuals. How useful have you found that for people?
Yeah, it's the key, essentially. As I say, we have to potentially reduce the resistance to the gym before we can add resistance in the gym. And this went from for all people coming to through our door. I wouldn't say we were super good at it, but we were very aware of that most people coming to us didn't like what we were selling, didn't want to do what we were offering, and may never like this place or us. And that's okay because that's gyms, maybe, and that's the way it's probably going to be for a good few years until Ireland, guys, kicks itself into gear and just somehow gets gyms rocking. Mightn't be in our lifetime, but when it came to the neurodivergent population, obviously they are at a higher risk of sedentary behavior and a lack of a positive experience. Generally, they either have had done nothing, or they had tried soccer, they had tried GA, and it didn't work at all. And through no fault of the soccer, the rugby, the GA, it just wasn't set up to accommodate children and teens with different communication preferences. So when children come in here, we have a big old questionnaire and all about me form to try and learn some of those communication preferences. And like a simple one of, whose idea is it to come here? Is
Yeah.
it you, parent, or is it the child? What does the child even know about what's going to happen? Now, we send a visual guide and we have a welcome video of me walking around doing the assessment, so they should have an idea. But I've had people come through the door. Look, the child, it was the first they even knew what was happening. They might have been told they're going for ice cream, and then whoop into the gym. Well, sure, we'll stay here now while we're here. That can be a bit of a challenge. And we also had to really temper expectations our expectations as well as the parents, that that first session, that first interaction is so important for trust and comfort and understanding and patience. We may not even go near a dumbbell or a medicine ball, but that we'll just let them gauge the situation, and hopefully we can do one or two things. Maybe push a sled up and down, maybe carry a log, a sandbag log, or throw something. Just like we've some weighted teddies here that obviously for the younger kids, like when I go to them, would you like panda or shark? And they're a bit like, and I'm like, it's just showing the boat. They're like, all right, I'll go with shark. Cool. Try and throw it over your head. Okay, overhead throw. Try and do a chest press, or chest press, so upper body power. And then we might do a scoop toss, the beginning of a deadlift continuum, where they would just be throwing around the teddy. And I'm actually looking at, okay, hinge patterns and listening and engagement and upper body, lower body coordination. And they're just throwing around the teddy. So it can look a little chaotic at times, but I've been to enough OT gyms and physio rooms. I'm a father as well of a child with differing needs, which actually came after I got into all of this, funnily enough. But their gyms look like kind of soft play. So having some of that stuff is more appealing to the children. But also we have a dumbbell rack here, we have a rig, we have cable machines, which for some of the slightly older kids, that's very important for. They want to see dumbbells and they want to see, oh, dad does that, or mom goes to the gym and does the weights and the muscles, and I want to be like them and my older brother. So we just gauge that as the child comes in, what's motivating them, if anything at all. And we try and build a bit of buy-in. It can take a while. So we know that Rome's not going to be built in a day, but it needs to start somewhere.
Totally, totally fabulous. And you mentioned about pandas. I've pandas and cuddly toys here around looking at me.
Someone
So
behind you.
yeah, they're all behind me over there. There's a little hammock just behind that as well of cuddly toys. So I totally get you. Anything that helps. And even for people tuning in, either from a classroom basis as well, or also, on a home basis, is there any practical things that you suggest for somebody, that maybe is struggling with a person at home, or even themselves, that they're like, oh, I'd love to give things a go, or they're not really sure where to start themselves practically with any bits of their own, even day-to-day movement before they even approach yourselves? What would you reckon there from kind of the first step, let's say, or practicalities?
So like stuff to do at home, essentially the deep pressure. Like if they are like hugs and squeezes and pushing, you can put your hands out and get your child to push back against you. You'd be
Yeah,
surprised the regulation, and that's our sled. We could have children come in, they could be a little bit overwhelmed, or they could be very closed off, and we just get them behind the sled. And once they push and they feel that resistance come back against them, regulation, and it's mad to see, but we see it so often. So that's simply, you can push against your child, and they push against you. If you have access to a balloon is one of the most useful and epic
great.
pieces of kit, just to keep you uppies, or the batting it over and back, the catching. It's gross motor skill 101 with catching and throwing and passing and manipulating an object. If you have the sweeping brush and you try and bat the balloon over and back, great fun, great crack. And you can't, there's not much kind of technique with a balloon. It's just, let's just get the balloon out and see where we go from there.
Yeah.
Um, and the movement breaks, like you obviously can bring tasks in as well, and can be quite useful, where, oh, will you help me lift up this thing, and let's lift the next one, and let's do a job, will you help me carry this down, where you're not asking them to do it, but you're asking them to help you. And you might find the engagement is there, and they get that deep pressure if it's a slightly heavier object, and that's your farmer's carry, away you go. Useful with the shopping, useful with the Christmas decorations, putting them in and out, or out the back in the summer, helping dad with the jobs, whatever. The carrying is quite useful. The pushing is quite useful. and the balloon banter or balloon chaos, which we call it here sometimes at the end, where we would have a group of four and we have maybe 10 or 11 balloons on the rack in the corner, and we just throw them all out and say, let's just go mad with the balloons.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, balloons are, and again, such a, easy thing to implement, and very, very cost effective. But as you say, gets the, movement going and gets that kind of coordination skills too, which is fabulous. As you mentioned earlier, people that maybe didn't tend to lean towards the football and the soccer, then maybe this is a kind of a softer and slower pace alternative then to that as well from a blow up version.
Absolutely. And like, there's no getting away from the fact that children need to develop these gross motor and fine motor skills, and that it's not going to happen by chance anymore. That
Yeah.
kids are not going out and climbing trees and running around for hours and only coming back when they're hungry, doing all sorts of basic movements and strength training and flexibility. That day is gone. So we have to make it an active process. And
Mm,
our generation, let's say, are the ones that are kind of caught in the middle, where we probably don't know the extent of the damage we are doing or have done. That down the line, it'll be like, oh, of course, we can't believe we didn't actually make kids exercise or move every day. Because what the recommendation is that it is an hour a day, but it's only a recommendation. It should be a non-negotiable. And the likes of my child, who has that support in school, one of the things he gets is a movement break. And to think like how regimented schools can be and the constraints and resources that they take him out of his class every day for 10 or 15 minutes to give him a movement break, because of the positive impact it has on his regulation, his participation, his overall experience in school. And you're like, huh, you guys do know about this stuff, but you're just not doing it for everyone. And again, it comes back to resources, but eventually the either the cost of the healthcare system or the damage to people individually, they'll be like, okay, right, pee every day. I guess that makes sense. And the likes of us will be like, obviously, we've been saying it for years. Welcome to the land of reactive and not proactive. But yeah, that's just the situation we live in. And that's why I think places like this are like, I'm kind of in some ways with some children, we're in the emergency department, like really helping them. And then a couple are coming through electively and are getting ahead of these challenges. But that's why we have to be very proactive. And I'd nearly say we have to run with this stuff,
mm.
because we're not helping everyone and we won't, but we have to try.
Completely agree. Yeah, and a little goes a long way, as you know, and a few groups, one person at a time, but a few conglomerates together can, I believe, make a big impact, and a big change, and little by little, hopefully, things spread, and unfortunately, if there's still limited resources in an education context, hopefully, people can implement and tweak things then at home as well, and kind of supplement things as best as possible, so that if things are outside of somebody's control, there's hopefully things within their scope that they can do in their own time or in their kids' time at home. And for somebody that maybe is a little bit more, unsure of different types of exercise, or they may have been involved in a lot of movement themselves, and now they have kids maybe with different challenges, and that has maybe spread off a little, that then the child is a little bit unsure. Is there, I know the balloon suggestions and they're all fabulous, is there kind of the steps that those people can take for themselves, that they can, maybe learn a little bit more about suitable movements, or kind of that transition to overcoming that hurdle, as you said, a fabulous quote, I nearly wrote it down, reducing the resistance to the gym before you get in there, for if there's that kind of pressure of, oh my God, what maybe can they do to help ease that stress really of exercise?
Yeah, like, if you can get out and get about, great. I don't know. I think it's bad down in Cork as well, but it's pretty gruesome up here weather-wise. When that's not possible, you have to look around your house, your room, your living room, and everything is a gym in a way, like that you can create your fort on the couch, like that. It doesn't have to be, it's squats and it's bridges and it's planks. It can be, let's build something, like let's get down on the ground, even if you are reading to them, and that you can be lying down on your elbows and the head up. How great that is for the neck strength, it is for the upper back strength, and just the development in general. And from there you can say, oh, have you ever tried to be like a lion and get up and do a roar and see what's your lion like, or what's your giraffe like, and can you stand like a pelican, and bring the animals into it. And if you can, which is hard, and God forbid parents don't need another thing to do, but if you can have it as part of the morning routine, that you just do a few funny stretches or a few extra things, like we would in my living room push back the coffee table and just open up the area, and me and my son, we would have what we would call a battle, and we would just have a wrestling match where he would always win by tapping me out. But it's just good regulation. And then my daughter, she would love doing the floor is lava, and that kind of stuff, where it does mean that the cushions come off the couch and things are thrown in the ground and it looks like a mess. But it's like that saying, and it's in life in general. It has to get more messy before it'll get tidy. If you just think of it like that, that it's just for these 2 years with the kids, it's going to be hectic, and trying to get them just moving, and games is for them all they want to do. A great one that we did recently was charades, and them trying to describe a film or a movie. So they're so bad at the charades. They're just, the animation is fantastic, and that's just low level stretching and movement, really. Like, and you, the parent, are the example. I train at home once a week to at least show them what I'm doing. Sometimes they get involved, sometimes they don't, but at least they know that dad is trying to be fit, and that's a good thing. And why is dad doing that? Because he wants to be able to lift. Because my son loves being lifted up, and he loves being carried sometimes, and he's getting a bit older now, so I have to maintain that strength in order to hopefully keep doing it for another few years. So and if in doubt, obviously reach out to the professional. If there's something wrong with your car, you usually go to the mechanic. If there's something wrong with the laptop, well, you'll Google it first, but you might then try and get someone who knows what they're doing. It's the same if you feel your child isn't where you'd like them to be, reach out to a professional like ourselves, and we can help. That's what we're here to do.
Fabulous, so great suggestions, and really, really practical tips for at home basis, as you said, and things that people can implement, but then also resources of other places to go to. And for anybody else tuning in on that maybe wants to avail of some of your services, is there particular places that they can get in contact with you, or what would be your protocol for people reaching out?
Yeah, sure. For Lifting Legends, we have liftinglegends.ie and the Instagram, and we try and put a lot of our what's happening up on that. So Lifting Legends Greystones is that Instagram. Down in Blarney, so we're in the middle of a rebrand. So I think the website is still emf.ie, but the Instagram is Lifting and Laughing. So I was the EMF. It was Eoin Murphy Fitness, and it was EMF Lifting and Laughing. But as I've left now the fair shores of Cork, and I'm a Greystonian / Wicklowan, or a gardener, it is Lifting and Laughing. But emf.ie, I think, still gets to the website, but their Instagram and Facebook as well, Lifting and Laughing, is where you'll get a look in the door behind the curtain, and you can inquire from there then, and that's when you've got us on your side, and we'll take care of the rest.
Perfect. Listen, Eoin, thanks a million for joining. Hope everybody enjoyed it with tuning in, and do reach out to Eoin if they have questions and bits and pieces. I'm sure he'd be delighted to get involved.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everybody.